All right, how about now? Can you hear me now? Thanks so much, RJ. Wow, my mic? Hey, Chris, sorry I missed that. I didn't see your note. I was just moving along. Wow. Okay, you guys missed so much brilliance. I can't tell you. That'll be like the worst opening to my lesson I've ever had because you guys missed all the brilliancy that I was sharing. Yeah, it was just great. So, so we played on Monday. We played through these through a whole games. We had a nice tournament. We had. I'll try to go fast, right? So I'm from New York originally. I don't live in New York anymore, but I was from there originally. One of the things we found out New Yorkers can do is talk really fast. So and you can understand and hear way faster than I can ever speak. So I'm going to speak a little bit fast and catch up on all the things I said earlier that you never, no one got to hear because my mic was muted. It's the new system had it set up, but it said it was pointing to the mic, but obviously it was pointing to something else because it wasn't working. So in our tournament, we had 7 people play, even though only 6 are showing on the screen. We had 7. Trust me, there were 7. We played 19 games. That's a nice number, but most importantly, we had over 1,290 moves made. So I'm hoping to find examples of all the things above using all of 1,900 and plus moves, 1,290 moves, more than that. I am testing my new system. I do have a new computer. I do have. I'm using a new browser. I'm trying out Opera GX. I don't know if it's any good. We're going to find out. So that's what I'm using for my browser. And if it works well and I have no problems whatsoever, I'm still keeping the green screen. Sudaka said get rid of the green screen. That'll save you cycles too. But I'm keeping that. I'm actually showing my preview to myself. So I'm keeping that. I'm keeping a lot of things and just seeing if the computer itself will make a big enough difference. And if it does, yay, verily, then we'll start tweaking it to keep the productivity, the production value up higher. So we're going over a game, and this is our first game we're going over. It's between Flavio and Chess Wizard, and I'm looking for these things above. So the first thing we're looking for is everything. We're looking for everything, and we have an attempt at a Stafford Gambit, possibly, right? But it's a Petrov's. And do you want to play the Stafford Gambit? And White said, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not doing that. I'm protecting my pawn. So White protects his pawn. I'm catching up to where I was. And Black and White. And then Black uses a center trick. Center fork trick. And what I said about this that no one could hear. No one could hear was that this is a trick in an opening. And it's a trick that happens in multiple openings. Multiple situations can be you could see this trick come up and you should know it, right? So you can use it in different opening situations. And the idea is that when you take back, you fork the 2 pieces. And what I said, which you saw but didn't hear, maybe you saw, was that White does have an option to say, well, I'm going to take this pawn instead, right? An intermediate move, an intermezzo. King doesn't have to take, but probably should. And then you take back. And what happens? White regains the pawn immediately that he lost. He ruins Black's ability to castle and can launch an attack while Black says, well, I get the center of the board. It's totally mine. You can't mess with me. The center is mine. And then White has to decide how to proceed. White has opportunities like this, but also going this way. Why? Because if Black goes here, then White can try to checkmate this way. And you get you can have an exciting game. Very exciting game. So things to think about, things to play through, and not, I said that I was going to do tips, tricks, and traps. I like alliterations. So we could do that this coming week, but I might wait because I'm thinking this coming week is definitely going to be end games. At least that's where I'm leaning towards, is end games. So, but this would be a trick in this opening. And there's many tricks and traps in different openings. I'll try to point them out as they happen, but we're not going to do them as a lesson this week, right? This week we're doing a review. All right, so we get into this, and White says, okay, let's go for the center fork. I'll let you do it. And Black takes this way, which that's what White gave him. And so White doesn't get to take back immediately. So what happens a lot of times is White might go here so that White gets to take back immediately and occupy the center a little bit. But, it is what it is. You can play many different ways. White chose this way. So we get development. I like it. We get a push in the center saying, well, if Black just takes, black's still up a pawn, right? Because that would be a trade of pawns, and black should take in my mind. The correct move would be to take and end up a pawn ahead for sure, and then continue development, and he has no pawn structure weaknesses, while white has an isolated pawn. And if white takes, black can either take immediately or just castle. But if he takes immediately, again, he saddles white with an isolated pawn. So those are pawn considerations, position considerations to take into account. Hey, Flavio, you didn't miss anything because I didn't have the mic working. But anyway, trying out a new computer system, guys. And Flavio, we are looking at one of your games as black. So, just so you know, we're looking for all these tactics that we're talking about. Oh, okay. So we see two pieces attacking, which means that was free candy, which wasn't, let's see. Okay, so last move was rook to here. Black has not castled yet. So white is aligning. Hey, I'm up to where where you guys finally, I got to see the chat and realize that I had no mic working. So good news is that we are now on an alignment. And alignments are how we work with pins, discovered attacks, and skewers. They're all based on alignment. So you're looking to line up your piece with either one of your pieces, discovered attack, and the opponent's, or two of their pieces, which would be a skewer or a discovered attack or a pin. So you're always looking for alignment. And so white, this makes sense. We're looking for an alignment possibility here. The pin, if the black had gone here, would be an alignment of the knight and the queen are aligned. This knight and queen are not aligned. So there's no pin, discovered attack, or skewer that you're going to get with this, right? Okay, so we're looking for alignment factors. So we have an alignment. And white says, you know what, I'm going to just take here and hopefully clear up and get my alignment even being sooner, faster, better. And now, again, here, could black, we always ask, can black do an in-between move? So can black go here for an in-between move? Something to consider. If we go here, then yes, it worked. But if white says, no, I'm going to take here, yeah, I don't know that works for you, right? Because then you get to take here and create a queen, and then you almost have to take back. And so, yeah, I think black could have put this move in between. I'm not spending a lot of time analyzing if you could or not. I'm focusing mostly on if it would have worked just in first glance. All right. So I think black had a nice in-between move also that he missed. He could have used, would have benefited him, but we went this route, boom, 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 trade, and still not taking here. Still not taking here. Free candy, right? Not free candy, but it would make this pawn that they took even more free candy. It would give you 6 pawns against 5. You'd be up 1 pawn. Right now you're 7 versus 6. So it would solidify that, because if white takes, then you're not up that advantage anymore. It'd be 6-6. But we do have an intermezzo attack on both the pawn and the rook, right? Double attack, pawn and rook. Nicely done. So we're looking. We found a double attack opportunity, right? Double attack. Nicely done. Free candy is also a factor in this one. So part of that attack, unfortunately, is not protected. And white sees it and grabs the free candy. So free candy rears its head again, even though we saw that we had a double attack. So if anyone were to ever ask me which one is a higher priority, am I looking for tactics or free candy, we gotta identify and spot the free candy before we worry about tactics, right? Because as you saw, we lose a piece. All right, get a queenside castle, and now we have threats again of taking. But, you know, if takes, then queen just takes back and not under that attack. But back rank looks dangerous. So white takes, black lines up another rook. Now, no pin, no discovered attack, unless something were here. That would be an alignment again where that bishop can leave and we'd have a discovered attack by the rook. We do have an alignment here, so that pawn is pinned. Right now there's nothing for it to take sideways anyway, which is how it would work. All right, so we have centralization of knight, attacking the queen, and now, remember I just said that pawn is pinned and the pawn had nothing here, so now there is a target that if black can target this knight and take it, the pawn can't take back without losing the queen. So it's a consideration to pay attention to for the future. Alignment questions. Alignment, alignment, alignment. Now this knight is protecting the rook. This pawn is protecting the knight, and the queen is protecting the pawn. There's only one each on this chain. When you see chains like that, it also gets scary because any one of these chain pieces can drop and we'll have our attack. So we have the pinned piece, we have alignment with the queen, 2 pieces on the queen. This is looking dangerous for white. White has to realize that he's in danger. So for me, the first thing I would do in this situation is get out of this pin. I don't want a pin. I never want to be in a pin. Pins are not good for us. So in general, if you're not sure what to do, get out of a pin. If you're in a pin, get out of the pin. It's usually just the right thing to do. So I would get out of the pin while threatening to take this pawn, right? I would get out of the pin and then threaten to take the pawn. White did not. White moved the rook back, protecting the pawn. So at this point, we had the rook at part of that daisy chain, but now the rook is out of the daisy chain. It's protected by a pawn. Okay, that's good. But the bad part is this pawn is still pinned, and there is something there that could be taken. And so if you look carefully, you'll see what black did, which was how to win material. Now, black gave away a free bishop. So this is where, as soon as you do this, as soon as this happens and white says, oh my gosh, I can't take back. If I take back, it's checkmate. Game over. Not only do I lose my queen, it's checkmate. So white realizes I can't take back. I cannot take back. So you have a choice now. Do you get flustered and upset and not know what to do because you're like, I just lost a piece? Or do you realize, hey, that was just a piece that I had won. I'm equal still, right? I have equal number of pawns. I have equal number of pieces. I'm in this game. I'm fine. Breathe, relax. Don't overreact to the fact that you can't take back and that you lost a knight. Black, of course, should be thinking, hey, I'm looking really good. Both of my rooks are on the center files. This one is on an open file. My bishop is fine. It's out here looking at nice long diagonals. My queen is going to have to move, probably, depending on what white does. But I'm good. I just won back my piece. I'm very equal. And white does have the negative, the weakness of an isolated pawn. Remember, he didn't take, black didn't take and get rid of that pawn, but so we're there. Now, white could take now, because there'd be a trade of queens, but white would end up with a rook advantage. So this is good, right? It opens up the rook to protect the queen. So now white is threatening to take the queen without having to move the queen and lose protection of the pawn. So nice move. And most importantly, it took till move 16. By the way, you guys can be fully developed after 8 to 10 moves. But it took to move 16 for us to see white finally get fully developed and get the bishop off the back rank. Queen says, nope, I'll go over here. And so again, guess what I'm hoping for, right? Queen here protects the pawn and double attacks. So it doesn't double attack. Attacks the pawn while protecting. Does 2 things for the price of 1. But we don't. We don't protect the pawn. We don't get the queen out of this alignment. This alignment should bother you to the point that you get out of it as fast as you can. So better, in my mind, would be to pull the queen up. Now we're still threatening the pawn. We protected this pawn, and we get out of this alignment. Now, black can say, well, good, I'll go for this alignment. Totally legit, right? You could go for a new alignment, but we get our check in first, and then maybe we come up here and threaten the queen, and if you take, I can come back with the rook, so there's play. There's play, there's options, there's way to move. You get the check here, you even have a discover check here if you wanted it. You have things you can do, folks, so you don't have to react immediately to that. And if you wanted to, you could. You could bring the rook over and say, now I have 3 pieces protecting the pawn. So your alignment's valid, but, again, you could take first, bring the rook over next. But any of those I would like better than this, ignoring the free candy. We're back to free candy, guys. Free candy. So we have 2 pieces of free candy because of this move. We created 2 pieces of free candy while we did create a counterattack, but we also gave up free candy. So black says, you know what, I got 2 pieces of free candy possible. I don't like you threatening my pawn. I'm going to protect it with the rook, and maybe he's looking at doubling up the rooks later. Because if you don't double up the rooks, this is actually bad because the rooks aren't talking to each other. We want the rooks on the same file or rank or row if we can do it. All right, so white says, well, good. Now that you didn't want to trade that pawn for one of these, then now push my pawn to block, right? Block the bishop from hitting that one and takes the one that the queen was attacking and removes it from view. So black goes for an attack. It's protected by the queen, but it's one of those, okay, obvious attacks. What does it get you? Is that a better position? And what happens? White has to get out of that, and white has a good place to get out of it, protects the pawn, triples up on this pawn, and there's no rush to worry about the bishop. Let's see what white does. So white overreacts, right? White says, I'm going to block the bishop. But what happens? Free candy. So again, free candy is rearing its head. And both of these players, Flavio and Chess Wizard, are actually very good players. They are, Chess Wizard is 1473 and Flavio's 1550. Now, I told you free candy was the difference between getting up to 1,000. But is it? Is it something that we need to still think about all the way through 1600? Remember, Lee Chess ratings is different than chess.com's. So on chess.com, if you're under 1,000, you're making these moves all the time, giving up free candy. In Lee Chess, it looks like you're still doing it in the 1500s, we're still giving away free candy. And if you say, well, it's a fast game, it's 5+3, yes, it is. But free candy is the one thing you should be taking the time when necessary. And by the way, white had 2 minutes and 50 seconds, so he had time not to make this move, giving away free candy. I mean, all he has to do is move the queen. There's no reason to feel compelled to open up the king yet and or give up free candy. Now, I said it's free candy more than once, but in reality, if the rook takes, the bishop gets to take, it's still free candy because you do lose. No, it's not even a pawn. Queen holds it. Sorry. So technically, it's not free candy. All right, I'll have to admit, it's not free candy. I just went through that whole speech why I thought it was free candy, but I guess technically, it's not free candy. It's still not a situation I like as white. Why? Now this pawn is out here. It's doubled pawns, not free candy. It was piece attacking a piece. Okay, now you win. But double pawns, and now we have an alignment. Look for alignments, right? So a lot of what we're looking at, 3 of them at least, pins, discovered attacks 4, skewers, and no, I guess that's it. Discovered attacks, pins, and skewers. Yeah, I think that's it. Are built off of alignments. So look for these alignments. And this alignment, because it's going through his own piece, he's setting up a discovered attack, which I think white would say, no, we can't have discovered attack, but we just gave away free candy again. At least I believe so. So let's see what happens. Black doesn't take. Now, if he had taken, we could have had things like this, because the check is important. We have to answer the check. Can you take here? Yeah, but if you take there, the rook takes again, and game over. And if you move over here, game over, checkmate. And if you move over here, not checkmate, but it's not feeling good, right? Life is not feeling good. I think we can even go here, and then what? Don't know. Might peter out. So maybe black could have played through this and given that and allowed that. I'm not doing a full analysis to decide, but it looks like if black goes this way, even though he's aligning himself, it looks like he can, white's going to run out of checks. And if white runs out of checks, then we still have this to deal with, and we still have, look at this, 2 of them. And once they slide out of the way, we still have a discovered attack. So interesting, very interesting if black could have taken the pawn. But black says, nope, I'll go over here and support the rook. Not crazy about it. Like I said, I kind of like this. I like this a lot. That's still a pin. That's still a pin on the pawn. So perhaps just, hey, I'm going to attack both of these pawns now. Let's see you protect both of them, right? So that'd be an option. And the pawn can't move because of check. So now you have to protect this pawn. So maybe that was a better way to go. Again, not spending overly time. We're looking for the concepts. So got a nice strong battery, but white says, I don't care. Come on down. And we get into an endgame. We're going straight to the endgame. We have 6 against 6. 1 forward pawn, but we have doubled pawns and we have an isolated pawn. Black should win this endgame. Oh, by the way, I wasn't crazy about these rook moves, but as far as what techniques we're looking for, don't see anything else to share at the moment. We do have 3 now against 2, and we have 3 against 2, and we have a passed pawn. But white is definitely have a more active king, but that can be remedied quite quickly for black. And now we get into the opposition, and now it will depend on how these flow. We won't look at the rest of the game. I know none of the factors that we're looking at will come up in this game. I do remember watching the end game where I will give a little bit just for Flavio's sake. Flavio, if you had taken here right away, and I don't think you needed to move your king. I think you could have done simpler moves like here. This blocks this pawn from ever moving forward, and you still have this pawn to push at some point. So simple move would be this. And then if you still got the same move from white, you're like, yes, I'll take. If white pushes, and again, your king should be here, your king just comes back and you still hold everything. Because this king here, by the way, we want to keep the king here because it keeps the white king out of both of these squares. Same way he keeps your king out of both of those squares. Because you keep the king out of both of those squares, he can't do anything. This is your power. This is the threat. White cannot leave you too long with this pawn. So white's got to play with the other pawns. So while white tries to play with the other pawns, if you do things like this, and even if he doesn't take and he does that, look, his king can't come over. His king can't come over. So the best his king can do is just try to come like this. And so you're okay, because once his king starts backing up, you start stepping in. And even if he does moves like pushes this pawn all the way, you're still fine. Because we're still going to look for ways to, push this outside pawn and make a difference. So we could start with this, and then threatening to do that, and then we'll have 2 pawns here. We're going to make another passer over here. And we can make a passer with 3 versus 2 without the king. So this is why we're going to be spending time on endgames. Definitely. I think this will all help with endgames. All right, let me see what I get. Yes, definitely. We definitely will be working on endgames. Okay. All right, good. All right. So that's one of the games. Let's go check out another game. Let's go find another game to look at. Chess Wizard told me that he had some games where he felt like he had a good example of remove the defender. So I'm going to look for one more in his games because remove the defender isn't one we've seen yet. So he's playing Flavio. I'm Sadukas. So right now Chess Wizard is white against Sadukas. We have 2 for Chess Wizard. We'll kind of highlight him today. While some of you guys have been awesome to me, thank you so much, Chris. Like my first subscriber ever. Flavio helped me with languages and trying to find a better computer. Chess Wizard has I give him credit for even streaming at all. I've been teaching him in class for 2 or 3, maybe 4 semesters now, in our in-person class. And while we were in COVID, he said, I was looking into the streaming thing. I was thinking about streaming chess lessons. And he's a young man, and he was like, yeah, I think I'll do that. And he contacted me and said, I was thinking I would do it, but why would I do that when you already do teaching, and I like the way you teach, and you're teaching me. How about you stream? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. What is the streaming thing? Because I've never been to Twitch before that. So he introduced me to streaming, to Twitch. He encouraged me, and I've been spending money ever since to set this up. So, but it's fun. I enjoy teaching, and he knows I enjoy teaching, and this is a great way to give back to the community, and so I'm happy. So anyway, back to the game. That's Chess Wiz. I got to give him credit for getting me started at all. So Chess Wiz is developing, and Sadukas has his setup that he likes, which is just this pawn. But what don't we like? He's not developing pieces while he's doing all those pawns. And the only pawns that Chess Wizard developed were his center pawn. So we're quite happy with what Chess Wizard did from that standpoint. Not happy with this move whatsoever. Doesn't break the pin. Maybe he's thinking of castling queenside, which is interesting, but the bishop wants to be here, not the queen. And if not the queen, if not the bishop there, then we still don't want our queen out so early and blocking our bishop's path. The only threat is that he's threatening he can win a pawn. So white can push the pawn and make it into a French defense, where this is not the greatest move in a French defense, but you don't have to know that. Or he can protect the knight. No, because he would just take the pawn. But he could protect the pawn this way. I'd even rather maybe he protect the pawn this way with ideas of this threat later, being sneaky. And by the way, that would also protect the knight, taking away the best square for the knight, but then maybe the knight comes here and here, and we start trying to attack here. So that would be more in keeping with what I would want to see than this move. Sorry. All right, so we get here. Queen comes out, second attacker. By the way, X-ray through. When that bishop moves, we're going to see a discovered attack here possibly. And we only have one piece attacking the pawn. So really, you have to ask yourself, why did black move here? He moved there for that X-ray attack onto that pawn. White very well says, I don't care. You take here, I'm going to take back with the pawn. So the queen, right, doesn't have a pawn to win. But as we see, first takes here, queen takes back. Now the queen is pulled away from the knight. So now check. And so we have removed the defender right here. Look at this. This is beautiful. One defender, two defenders, only one attacker. Okay. But we remove that we remove the queen from defending, so the pawn has to take back, which he was probably going to take back with anyway. But now he has a double attack. So he attacks both the pawn and the rook simultaneously. Sweet. Good job. Good job. And at this point, white has to say, I'm going to lose the pawn because I'm not going to give up my rook. And since I'm going to lose the pawn, I'll just give away the pawn. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm gambiting a pawn. You could take this one or this one. Your pick, partner. I gambited a pawn. And why I'm okay with gambiting a pawn, maybe two even later? I have 3 pieces developed. You have 1. Look at all these pieces on the back rank not playing. All of them on the back rank. No pawns in the center. No pawns taking over the center. So white can actually say, you know what? Even pulling back, I'm just going to wait for you to finish with your taking a few of my pawns, go after another pawn. White should be like, have at it, have at it. But I'm going to protect this pawn. Could have went here for later attacks here even, but this is fine too. I'm going to protect this pawn and at least not give you that one so easily. You're going to have to, that doesn't work, does it? Yes, it does. Can take. If you take back, I win a rook, so nope, that doesn't work. That's free candy if you went here. So it may be enticing even for some mistakes. But I like it. So white rushed to develop, and white is one move from being fully developed. Again, not sure I love this move, but there's no black bishop to chase him away. No black bishop, so okay, we go there. We do get a knight to chase you away. And white says, okay, I'll attack this pawn now. Right? White could have come in here, not here. White could have come in here, which would have just been a little annoying, but not really too much. So over here is probably better, attacking the pawn. Could have dropped back here to attack the pawn, but I'm okay with this too. This is a good spot. Back here, by the way, we still have this double attack, which I think we see happen anyway. Let's see. First we get a castle, and white says, I'm not even castling yet. I'm going to throw more pieces into the fray. Okay, knight's protecting. We could remove the defender possibly, but still not much going on. Attacks the knight, makes the knight leave, and now we have a bishop and maybe another bishop raking. We might have some fun here, folks. All right, so we get our double attack anyway, and we're going to lose our powerful bishop there. We really liked our bishop. So the queen sidestep says, I'm gonna hit this pawn right now and the knight. Now the pawn is protected, but only once. So I get to hit the knight. He takes the knight, and we take back. Queen comes up and pins the rook. See, beautiful, pins. Attacks the pawn. Pins and pawns being attacked. White does this, and black should say to himself, wait, he didn't protect the pawn. I wasn't attacking the bishop. And he didn't get out of the pin. Why would he move the bishop? What does that do? And black did not check to see why white made the move they made. I can tell you that for a fact, because if you watch, he takes with check, and now the rook chases the queen. Now, where's the queen going to go? Because black did not notice that white's move set up checkmate. Because if black had realized that white's move is threatening checkmate, I don't think he would have taken here as an in-between move, especially when he says, well, how can you get out of checkmate? And then even if let's say he doesn't. Let's say he takes here and white just moves like here, just for argument's sake. What does black do now? He gets that check in. Okay, maybe that's why, right? So he could chase him around. But with this check, right, the queen has to leave. Now, thankfully for black does have the check. Black has to deal with the checkmate. Again, he has no more legal checks. And now, guess what? His queen is under attack by a rook again. So if he stops to mate, he loses the queen. Beautiful, huh? So the rook attacked here, and the only way out was to come here, but it's still attacked. And I said black didn't realize it, and there's my proof. Black didn't realize it, so white gets the checkmate. Nice game overall, though. Nice attack, finding and giving away, even though Chess Wizard lost some pawns, he said, nope, I'm not giving up. There's ways to go. Okay, let's check out one of Flavio's games. He had some bad games to begin with where it was free candy, and we know it, so I'm not even going to bother. But let's check a later one. Leonard, you're online, so let's look at the game against you two. Leonard had white, and Flavio had black. All right, so sometimes we get to look from the opposite position. So Leonard likes this opening, and the plus and minus to this opening are the same things. We are not attacking the center. We're just developing our pieces very safely and quiet, and it's like a turtle, right? We just build a nice shell around our piece, around our center, around our squares. We're not doing anything. We're not doing anything aggressive. We're standing back. Now, can you play that? Yeah, grandmasters could play that if they wanted to. Other players can play that if they wanted to. But you have to know what you're doing after that, right? And so right now we have Flavio doing a more classical setup. Look at this. Beautiful bishops. Pawns are on white, so actually he should be normally attacking queen side. But we see Leonard has his setup the way he wants it, but it's not attacking a lot of the center. The knights are on the best squares possible. Not crazy about the bishops in these squares. And more importantly, the queen is stuck, right? The queen remember, the queen is part of our development. We need to develop our queen as well. So we get an immediate break in the center. Leonard said, nope, I'm ready to break open the center now. I haven't castled yet, but I'm going to break open the center. And if white allows me to push one more time, I'm going to fork these two pieces. So black has to be cognizant of the fact that if he doesn't take, the next move is here. So he's pretty much forced to take. And then after he takes, he still has, when he takes back with a pawn, this. So if there was a trick to this opening that Leonard plays and you're playing against it, the major trick here, I would venture to guess or argue, would be this situation. That we get a push, you take, we take back, and then we're going to push again. Now, that all said, we have 1, 2, 3 pieces attacking e4. When he puts it here, he has 1, 2 protecting it. 3 versus 2, black wins free candy. Black just won free candy. So the trick of trying to get that pawn push required that white get another piece attacking the square, but the setup that Leonard was in, there's no way, except for the knight could go here. That would have been maybe a nice try. Use the knight to protect and then to get to push. But without the knight moving here to protect, or the bishop not being there and the knight being here, this trick doesn't really work. It fails. It's a fail because we lose free candy. All right, so now at this point, black is up a pawn, and white has no center pawns, and we went from that turtle shell to now being pretty wide open, right? Both of these files are open. The bishop has better scope. This bishop now has scope. So that's a nicety, but we're down a pawn. Now it's only a pawn. One of the things we talk about in opening tips and tricks and traps, and a tip would be, in this situation, you either take and have an isolated pawn, which we know is bad for white, It's an isolated pawn and not a pass pawn, not even close. So black can just take and make white's pawn situation worse. And if you don't want to take, you don't want to protect this way, because if you take, you end up with double pawns, right? We don't want to do this and get double pawns. Even if it attacks the knight, we don't want double pawns. In fact, now he gets to attack both of those back and probably win one, right? Not worrying about the deep analysis. So the other thing to do is to bring your bishop back. This should become a common move for you from any of these squares, that if the bishop threatens and you don't want to trade, then you come back. And that way, if white takes, you take, freeing your rook. Now, that's not good if you castle over here, but in this situation, I would not castle over there anymore. I'd wait and see what white does. King safety is predicated on your opponent not being able to get to your king. The normal way to get king safety is to be castled behind 3 unmoved pawns. But that's not always safe, right? This is not safe. So castling at this point for white would be unsafe. Now, he could castle queenside. That would be a better choice. Black might stay in the middle. He's got open squares all over. Maybe he stays in the middle if white has no way to actually get to him. So you don't always have to castle to have king safety, but you do have to be aware and care about your king safety. Black decided to go for the isolated pawn instead, and we get more development from both. Oh, we get a battery looking. I'm looking for any of the techniques we're talking about. So this is bad. In general, Flavio allowed, in fact, almost encouraged them by putting his knight here instead of here. If you put the knight here, threatening the knight, then he has 2 attacking, but he has 2 protecting. So that would just be a bunch of a trade. But here, he actually messes up his pawn structure, which, remember, he took bishop just to mess up white's pawn structure, or at least it was a good reason. And now he's allowing black to return the favor and mess up his pawn structure. So now he has an isolated pawn, and he has 3 pawn islands. White has 3 pawn islands. But, this one's a little easier to attack than this one. All right, let's see. Not sure what Leonard was thinking here, except for maybe he wanted to push this pawn eventually. Maybe, I don't know. But this is fine, right? Alignment, look, alignment. We're looking for alignments, and there's a chance to create an alignment. I also would be very happy with this pawn push because, one, it would attack the center. Attack the center for sure. Plus, start expanding. Plus, it takes away this square for the knight. Nope, knight, you can't go there. Now, it does give up this square for the knight, and that is worth being worried about enough that I'd say don't do it, because you don't want the knight coming here, the queen following up, and then the knight plopping here and checkmating you. So, not that it would happen that fast or that easily. All right, different alignment, right? Still looking for alignments, and we have this alignment. So this pawn, if it were to move, one of those 2 queens could be hanging. So something to think about. Black says immediately, I'm going to get out of this open file, and maybe get my rook over here on this alignment. Look, alignments. It's all about alignments, guys. All right, so the knight moves, but the knight has no place to go because we didn't do the move I talked about, right? Didn't block our bishop, didn't give the square up for the knight. That's why we said we don't want to do that. And so the knight actually has nowhere to go. It was a move, but it did nothing for white. Black goes along with the plan, attacking, right? Finding the angle, the alignment, and saying, now I'm lined up with your king this way. I'm a happy camper. White says, I'm going to attack the unprotected pawn, although black has ways to easily protect it. Again, we're not going to push this pawn because the knight will get in. So we don't want the knight to get in, but we want to protect the pawn. Could go here with the queen or the bishop, but why not here and play Chase the Queen? You guys remember that game? Play Chase the Queen. So black plays Chase the Queen. Says, get out of here, buddy. I don't want you in my face. Go away. And white should have just went away for the time being. Could have went here as an example to come over here. And after going here, then he has opportunities possibly for this. But white makes a mistake of counting. 2 hit that square, only 1 protects it. So that is free candy. So we see free candy, and maybe we should add to our lessons counting, right? Square counting. Counting how many pieces are attacking a square, because we missed that free candy. Now, the bishop still protects the pawn. The queen still doesn't get to take it. The queen can go here, but so what? Queen can go here, but so what? Right now, black is looking really good because he just got another pawn for his trouble. Pushing this pawn is fine, right? The pawn still keeps the knight out, and now the bishop can come back to any of these squares. These two squares now are open for the bishop, so that's a really nice, clever move. I like that move a lot. Knight reposition says, hey, I found a home. I can go here. So again, if black could protect this pawn so he could start pushing the center pawns, he's on the offensive, folks. He's on the offensive. Now, again, I would have rather seen white come here. By the way, with black here now, it is pinning this pawn. Another alignment that I don't want to miss. This is a powerful place for that bishop, so much so that a lot of times the bishop ends up here because of that alignment. Beautiful alignment. That means that pawn cannot take back here ever, as long as that king is in an absolute pin. But still, I would have rather have seen the knight come here and have a little bit, get a chance to get into the game. But the knight went here, which, guess what? This pawn can't take, absolute pin. If the queen takes, we just take. Absolute pin, that pawn cannot take back. So now the knight is attacked twice, and the knight has to move, and you can't take the pawn. So now the knight that moved there has to move, and it looks like we could gain more tempo chasing the knight again. The knight can't go here, can't go here. This is the only square the knight can go to. So we can either first double up, but then he would attack, or we can push on him and chase him over there first, and then maybe slide our queen into the game. Getting this move in would be kind of fun, right? Because then we just have this pawn storm rolling along. We also can look at taking here. The pawn can't take back. The queen could take back, but then we have other fun. Well, not there. All right, so let's see what happens. Oh, sorry. Oh, so sorry. Let's go back. Okay. Hit the wrong button. Mouse slip. Mouse slip on analysis, not just on game. All right, so black did say, well, you know what? If one rook is good, two's got to be better. Two's got to be better. And so he just goes for it. And I like it. Because even with this knight move, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces attacking that pawn. How many are defending it? 1, 2. 2. This one is not defending it. It's in an absolute pin. So we can start with the pawn and start winning material. And let's see what happens, because that would be fun. Rook comes over, attacks the bishop. Makes sense. Bishop says, what are we just talking about? If your bishop's attacked, you could just back it up. By the way, he also could have protected it with a pawn. Would have been fine. Would have been fine, but he really likes this pin. He does not want to lose that pin. But protecting it with the pawn, if you want to give up for that, you're probably okay with that, because then if he attacks your knight, you're a rook, you just move, right? You'll be up a rook for a bishop. But nothing wrong with this either. Knight comes here instead of here. Both are fine, right? Now that the bishop has given up the square, again, another reason to keep the bishop there. Protect it with a pawn, keep the bishop there. Not use this pawn to block the bishop. So this would have been a nice move. But anyway, knight says, I'm attacking your rook. What you going to do? And black says, I'm going to ignore this exchange loss because I think my pawn is going to be more valuable. Knight takes and we get the correct take, right? So he could have taken this way. Got to think it through. If he had taken this way, he can't take, and he would have had to move here. This would be the only legal move he had. And then what happens? Right? What do you do next? You could take the knight, because you can't put the rook there without just losing it. So that's a possibility. You could just take back the knight, and he'll have a rook versus a bishop, but he has this pawn way down in his territory. But if he takes this way, he could take right away and get back the exchange, right? Black gets back the exchange because he's going to win this knight eventually is the plan. And if he goes here now, then he has, let's see what happens. He gets this check with the bishop compounding on top of the pawn. Remember the other way with the black pawn here, that was a white pawn blocking that bishop's path. Now there's nothing blocking that bishop's path. White has no choice but to take. Queens takes, and we get a trade of both of the rooks. And we're getting to an endgame. So again, what could white do in this situation? Black is threatening checkmate again. So he could take here, and we'd have a trade. Or he can come here with the check first, which he did. It's an okay in-between move. Take here, check here, forced, and take back. In this situation, though, black is far ahead, right? 6 pawns versus 3. This should be not hard to bring home for black. Good games, though. Very good. Hey, Chess Wizard, you missed my homage to you for getting me involved with streaming in the first place. Thank you again, Chess Wizard, for getting me involved with streaming. All right, we have time for go over one more game. Let's see, Chris is here. Let's see who Chris played. Already went over 2 Chess Wizard games. You missed them, Chess Wizard. Just went over the Leonard and Flavio game. It looks like Chris never played Flavio, so we're not going to look at one of those games. Oh, we can look at Chris playing Leonard. Big difference in rating there. Chris is actually climbing, though. He broke 1,400, by the way, during the tournament. So that was sweet. Good job, Chris. And someone did analysis on this game using the tool, which allows you to learn from your mistakes, which is awesome. And just so you guys know, when you analyze a game, everybody sees that analysis. So I'm seeing that analysis, and I get to click on Learn from Your Mistakes to see what the computer says. And just for fun, let me go to a full screen. Let's see. I'm testing out my new computer, so let's see how well it goes to full screen. Oh, you know what? I didn't set it up properly. That's my fault. So I got to tell it to point to the full screen, the right full screen. Now, I would never try this in my other setup because it just breaks everything right when I do this. So I'm tempted to try it here because of the new computer. I want to see how it would work, but got to find. Let's see. So that main screen share, that would be this one. If I say edit, I say change, and I'm going to try to do this on the fly because I'm thinking this setup with my new computer is so much better. And look at that. I was able to switch scenes, edit the scene, and show it. I'm pretty excited. All right, so here we are with the game. And if you look down here, if I scroll down, I didn't mean to do it that way, I meant to do it this way. If you see down here, we have learn from your mistakes. And it says Leonard made 1 inaccuracy. By the way, I ignore inaccuracies for the most part. They're too vague. But mistakes and blunders are definitely good. And I think Lee Chess agrees with me because when you learn from your mistakes, you do not go over inaccuracies. You only go over mistakes and blunders. Yes, Flavio, new computer. Totally new computer. Took me a while to get it set up and to work, but I think and I'm happy with the computer. It has a graphics card, and I've combined that with trying a different browser, but I am going to go try Chrome at some point just to see how good this computer is compared to the other. And on this one, it says that Chris made 3 mistakes and 1 blunder. So 1 less mistake than his opponent. Now, you can learn from your mistakes and just click on it, and it will show you, let me just show you this in case you don't know Lee Chess. It'll show you the move you made, but it won't show you the right move. And it asks you, what is the right move over here? And then you got to say, well, how do I do that? I can view the solution, I can skip this move, or I can think about what I want to do. So it says this was a mistake. You'd have to see what what the computer says. I'm going to guess that D4, D5. And if you get it right, you get this next button and it says good move. And then you go on to the next move where it says you made a mistake. Took here and it says that's a mistake. Interesting. Why? Because if you take here, my thought is the bishop could take here, threatening your queen, and then you're going to lose material, I believe. So what is the best move for black at this stage? Could be just take with the knight, because then that takes away that threat. So let's try taking with the knight, and it says yes, it liked that move. Good move. On this one, the knight came out and the knight came back. Now, you guys know about double pawns. We haven't taught classes on positional, but I say it all the time, right? I say, yeah, if you could take here and double up the pawns, so I'm going to assume that's the good move, and guess what? It is. We have this move. Looks like it's forking two pieces. Okay, and technically it does, but it says that's a mistake. Pawn could take, it's just a trade of pawns. So do we want that trade of pawns? No, it says no, you don't want that. I don't see free candy here. It's like, by the way, this is like solving a puzzle. And right now, the puzzle isn't mine. The puzzle is for Chris's game and Leonard's game, by the way, because after you finish, and it just happens to be since I clicked on Chris, I'm looking at it from his point of view. When we're done, I like rip to G8 also. You're correct. So Chris, good job. So when you do this and you say, what's the best move? How do I play this? You can find what you want in that, right? You can say, okay, after I'm done with all this, I can then turn it around and say, learn from my opponent's mistakes. I get to see what white did wrong. So you can do both. Both. That's pretty cool. All right. So let's go back to the game, though. I just wanted to show you the learn from mistakes functionality, which is really cool, in my opinion. I like it a lot. All right. So we don't care about that right now. We're just going to go through the moves. So let's get back to our game review screen. All right, so again, let's see. Leonard likes, right? He's consistent with his opening. And this time he does different. He doesn't move the pawn up. He doesn't move the bishop. He doesn't move the knight. So why don't I like this situation? It took him 2 moves to get the bishop here. What's the best square for that knight, guys? This much we have covered in lessons, right? These are your first 3 options. And out of the first 3 options, this is by far the best square for the knight, where Leonard put him last time, where he had both his knights out to the best squares. So this move is an interesting, takes him 2 moves to develop the bishop and keep the knight out of its best square. So I don't like it for all of those reasons. So hi Ryan Chess. So I will tell you, Ryan Chess, even though it says Nightbot, it was me. I used the command so I can write that long message to you without having to type it all. I can keep talking about something else. So it is a mod, but it's my Nightbot that it's pretty cool. Anyway, so what do we get? I do have mods though, so they could have done it too. Maybe they did it before me. Anyway, so and I got to turn off. I don't like seeing the computer tell me what move we should make. We don't have time for all that. So, all right. So the knight goes to its second best square. But it is developed. But look, the queen's going to take longer to get developed. While black is just, Chris is doing a very good job of just developing his pieces to good squares. White, again, doesn't actually aggressively attack the center. Black continues to develop. Chris, you're doing great this game. So we talked about this a little bit earlier. Chris, I think you were here. I think you can see the command list, Flavio, now that you're a mod, by just doing / commands. I think that's it. If not, Chris can probably tell you. But yeah, you should be able to see all the commands that are available to you. So Chris, we want to just drop this bishop back. That's right. Just drop the bishop back here if you want to stay on this line, or here if you don't. If you don't want to be on this line, you want to get away from all this. You might look and say, wow, he's all queenside heavy. I want to get out of there. I don't want my bishop being at risk. I'm leaving. You could have left all the way over to here. But you can also just come here, right? Because eventually if it gets traded off, you're looking at the rook, you're fine. You can even make a little hole. And if you think he's castling king side, that's a great diagonal. We love that diagonal. So yep, just dropping it back. But, right, no panic. We don't want to protect it with a pawn. Why not? We didn't want to protect it with this pawn or with this pawn. Why not? Because then he could double up our pawns, which is a weakness that we know about. We don't want to incur that weakness for no reason. The only benefit of protecting this way is that the bishop got out faster. But remember, he moved his knight twice to attack your bishop. And think about it. The knight is not on its best square. This was. So this knight now is only attacking 6 squares, I believe 2, 4, 6 squares, and one of them is only the center square. So he's not in his best square. So you don't want to let him trade him for a bishop that's doing nicely placed. Let's just keep our bishop, all right? So he does that. He takes you, which is logical. doubles up your pawns and makes you lose your um, makes you lose your position, your double pawns there. Um, cool, Chris. You're playing with Nightbot, so yes, I set it up that if you were a regular, which is like a common person coming here, we have to set up people as regulars. If you just type hi, like to me, that's what you get. Isn't that cool? I like it anyway. Moving on. So get back to work here. So we have double pawns, and again, this double move for Leonard to develop his bishop, I'm not crazy about, because now it took 2 moves, right? So we're losing the race because it's taking us 2 moves, and once again, it takes away the best square for the knight. So that's just why I don't like it. This move is definitely possible. There's only 2 protecting. We have 2 protecting, so if you take, we take, you take, we take. So since it's equal, we can push, and we know we're going to make something happen because we're attacking a bishop. So something's got to happen. Either you let us take or you're going to take. Now, I might have liked this rook here first, but then white could have locked it up, and so I'm totally on board with Chris breaking open the center sooner rather than later. And this is where we see where the computer said you should have taken with the knight, Chris. Because if you take with the bishop and he takes here threatening your queen, how do you want to react? All right, that's part of the problem. So you could take here, I kind of like that, and with check, and then you could take here threatening the rook, but he's got this bishop still, and let's see what happens when all the dust settles. All right, when all the dust settles, we're equal in pieces, but you have terrible pawns. Terrible pawns. Okay, so that's one scenario. But if you had taken with the knight, you have no risk of this counterplay. So just taking with the knight would have been solid. Okay, so we took with the bishop, though. He trades. Okay, again, if he had taken here first, he might have had better results. He could have even taken here first and see if he takes back with the rook or with the knight. And then after that, he still could have taken here and removing the defender. And if you take, he takes, and then you have to take back and still double your pawns. So knight would have been a correct move, but that's okay. You got away with it. Minor advantage that white could have had in that instance if he had taken the other way. So we get the trade here, and then we get, as we saw in the practice, in the learn from our mistakes, that bishop should have doubled up those pawns. But we backed away, and that's okay. Again, this game I think is getting to the point where we're not going to see too much of remove the defender or anything else. I'll try to go through it a little quicker and see if, nope, I remember this. Yep, this is what we went through. Now, of course, there was free candy. You know that, right? There had to be free candy because if you look right there, white gave away free candy. Just an oversight. It happens. Forgetting the fact that the rook can take us back. It's just an oversight. And so now we have a lot of pawns. Okay. By the way, Chris way played this wrong. And we've talked about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't harp on it for you. But all you want to do here is keep this king away from these pawns. So, simple move could be here. If the king comes over, hey, you're protected. King can't take this pawn. King can never get here. King can't take your rook. King has no real good ideas. You just start marching. And even if he wants to eat this pawn, you're like, okay, I know you're hungry. Go have a pawn. And even if he says, no, I'm going to trick you. I'm coming back. You can go, okay, well, I'll just protect everything. And I'm still getting a queen. And then I'm going to get another queen. And then I'm going to get another queen if I wanted to, right? I know beginners sometimes end up with like 5 queens. By the way, that's a really good way to stalemate usually. I am using Opera GX. You missed that. And so far it's working fine. But as I told everyone, going to try the Chrome, maybe not tonight, but next time. So tonight, we're at the hour mark. So tonight, I will be doing 2 things. One, I will be having a one-on-one lesson with Pulse Bologna, which is also in here, g.host. He graciously donated 5 subscriptions to viewers, to our regulars. That was so nice, so kind. And that isn't why I'm giving him a private streamed public lesson. It's just because he asked and he was next in line. So if you guys want to get the one-on-one lessons that I normally do on Sundays at 1 o'clock with me, just send me a note. You could send a note through here, through Discord, On Discord, it's Tiberian64. Join our Discord server. Feel free to do that. And then on Lead Chess, you can send me a message to Tiberian and just tell me you want to be in one of the one-on-one lessons. Those are normally Sundays at 1. I am out of town this coming Sunday, so we couldn't do our Sunday lesson, so we moved it to tonight at 5 p.m. So it's on the schedule, but it's different than our normal time. So maybe we'll see some people that we don't normally see, because I have not streamed at 5 o'clock that I can remember ever. So at 5 o'clock tonight, I will be giving Post, or G.Host, we're going to be giving him a one-on-one lesson. When we're done with the one-on-one lesson at 6 p.m., we have our Battle Royale. All of you welcome and as part of this team or any other team that you find. And here I'm putting the command out there for you guys. I got to remember how to do I do the slash and then the thingy, or do I just do the thingy? I don't remember. Nope, I did that wrong. So maybe it's just that way. Yeah, there you go. And again, it helps me so I don't have to remember all these things. So you could join the team if you're not a member of the team, and then you could play tonight at 6 o'clock. And we have right now, I think, 4 to 5 teams it's lined up to play. So we could go back and just check to see what the deal is tonight. So it's a Battle Royale, and currently we have the bottom 3 teams. We don't have anyone signed up, and that's fine. I just put them in there in case. This fall class 2020 was my last semester's class. I had students that didn't come back in the spring, so I thought I'd invite them if they want to play, but most of them are not active right now. The CAWB is a chess club of beginners based out of Buffalo, New York. We've played them before, and they obviously didn't decide to make it. And then the Modern Ancient Club is the Modern Ancient, another streamer that I collaborate with and I like and we share with. But he's been very busy with other things. He hasn't been streaming much, and so most of his members are also in mine for live stream. So hopefully they just play for live stream. So we see Leonard already signed up. He's our highest rated there. Chess Wizard is playing for the chess class spring 2021. He's the highest rated there. Dio Brando, you guys don't know him, from Pershing. And then White's King Knight, you don't know him, from our chess club. And then Jordan, JG777 is our highest rated on the Garrett Chess Club. And he is another supporter and a co-worker with me but we work on chess together. He's the only person I have right now that I actually study chess with. We try to make each other better. He has his goals, I have mine that we're working towards. So that's tonight at 6 o'clock. And so after I give the lesson to our player, which he should be under the 4 live stream list, he should be signed up, and he's not even signed up for that yet, but he will be joining that team for sure, because after we do an hour lesson, he's going to jump in and try to use what we teach him in the tournament. So instead of playing a one-on-one game with a viewer, he's going to play in the tournament. And so since that's going to happen, I'm going to just keep streaming throughout the tournament. I'll just commentate on the tournament and stream, and we'll see how well this computer holds up over 2 to 3 hours versus this 1 hour segment. So far, my screen is not frozen. I've been able to chat easily. Hey, Brandon, I've been able to do everything I've wanted to do using this computer, this new setup, so I'm ecstatic. Did I miss anything in chat? Any questions? Anything I missed in chat? Brandon, you did just miss that we talked about joining this tournament that you see on the screen. We'd love for you to play for live stream. We'd love to have you play for our team. That'd be great. So if you get a chance, go ahead and do that. Alrighty. I do have, just so you guys know, there is sometimes you guys might see that you get messages from the mods, our auto mods, and our auto mods are set very high. And they're set very high because we have young children attending my streams. At least they're invited. So I teach children. Yeah, Brandon, it's usually not accurate. That's why I'm telling you. I didn't think you did anything wrong. But the bots have their rules of trying to figure things out, and it's set high. So yeah, it'll misinterpret what you say, and it's always been that way. Everyone that's gotten hit by the mods has been a misinterpretation. But anyway, the point is that since I have children that attend the streams, That's why I don't raid people that have problems with their language, and and we have the strict mods on. That's all. Yeah, it's and so you'll see what they are, whatever their complaint, the mods complaint is, and then rephrase it, reword it, and we can always tweak it too. We definitely can tweak it. Now, Chris, I think you said something about being youngest. I feel like I'm the youngest. Or do you mean the youngest here? You're not. So again, I have kids, 8 year olds all the way up. So attending, and I can tell you're not even the youngest on the stream right now. So yeah, but I mean, you're probably younger than most. You're definitely younger than me, and I know you're younger than Sadukas, and I'm gonna guess you're younger than Flavio. But other than that, we don't know. We don't know. So yeah, you might not be the youngest either. Well, I appreciate it, Brandon. I appreciate it. Oh. So Brandon said, with a foul mouth, you don't think he's younger than you? I don't know. That's scary. Uh, okay. So that's it for today. I think we covered enough. We didn't get to see a lot of things. We didn't see a lot of remove the defender. Skewers are hard to find. I don't think there were any skewers that I saw. Um, gotcha. So, we didn't get to see everything, but that's okay. We have one more day, Friday. We're going to still go over these. And actually, tonight's tournament, I'll be looking for these also. Uh, so, yeah, if you guys want to join the tournaments tonight at 6 p.m., 6 p.m. And as you could see, let's see, I'll put it back. Here it is, and it's under 4 live stream. So the question is, have you signed up to be a member of 4 live stream would be the first question. So we want you to be in the team so that you could play. And here's our list of members. Look at that. Flavio's in there. Like I told you, Post Balone is in there. He's going to get a lesson and then play. Leonard's in there. So Brandon, you're in the team. You just have to join the tournament. And I did send a notice to everyone that the tournament was lined up to go. So Chess Wizard, but you're playing for the other team, which is good. They need you. Chris is there. So yeah, it would be great. And if you're a new viewer, you don't have to subscribe or anything to play in our tournaments. You can play in anything. You just sign up, and I will accept your request to join the team, and then you're good to go there. By the way, guys, please keep the same language rules in the chats during the tournaments, so I don't have to turn off chats. Otherwise, I gotta block chats so no one that no one would see bad things said in chat. By the way, you won't be destroyed. You'll have a good time. This is a very low rated tournament. The highest rated player is like 18 something, and then we go all the way down to like under 1,000. So you guys should be competitive, and you play a lot of games back to back. I'll give you 2 things real quick before I sign off about playing in tournaments and playing on Lichess as a whole. As far as chatting, I try to tell my students, don't. It's really, really hard. You want to chat like you do here, and they want to chat while they're playing. So the first thing is, when you play over the board, you can't talk. It's not like in the Queen's Gambit TV, Netflix series. You can't talk to your opponent. So don't do it here. Just don't chat. There's nothing to say. And if you have something clever to say about something else, don't do it here. You're playing in a tournament. So I try to tell my students they should say GL for good luck, and they should say good game, GG, and that's it. If they win, they say good game. If they lose, they say good game. If they lose because of a mouse click, they still just say GG. Why? Because nobody wants to hear an excuse that, I slipped my mouse slip. That's the only reason you beat me. Well, thanks, buddy. I might have beaten you anyway. No, I had you. Right? Nobody wants to hear that. So just say GG. And if it's a mouse slip, it's a mouse slip. If the person asks you, which happens, right? You say good game. The person says, oh, what happened? Why'd you give me your queen? Was that a mouse slip? And you can go, yeah. And then they'll be so impressed that you didn't make an excuse. You just said GG. They'll be like, oh, cool. The guy just said GG. He mouse slipped. Obviously, I could even tell. Wow, nice guy. Be the nice guy or nice gal. So just GG, good luck. You can ask other things in general, but you shouldn't do it while you're playing. It's quite disconcerting for me to be, let's say if I'm playing you and I see that you're chatting up the chat room while we're supposed to be in the middle of a game. I'm like, man, guess you don't have to think about my game much. So it's nice to use, yes, good sportsmanship would be great. Totally. So that's one. Just avoid using the chat for anything else, but very kind. Just good games, good lucks. Don't explain your wins. Don't explain your losses. You'll make more friends that way. That is good sportsmanship. Resigning. I totally agree never to resign. You never know what happens. The person might stalemate you. It's not rude not to resign. Even if you think, oh, it's a 3-move checkmate, it's rude for me not to resign. Don't resign. And you might win on the clock. And then you might feel like, oh man, Eric Rosen calls it dirty flagging the person because you won on the time even though you were losing the game. But remember, they got to that point where they were beating you because they used more of their time. So you're allowed to get them to dirty flag. That's part of the game also. No reason to apologize. No reason to feel like you're not playing fair. It is not unsportsmanlike to flag somebody even if they're winning. Okay, so just play, and you shouldn't feel bad. And as we will learn when we go over endgames, I'm going to bet some of you would miss how to checkmate sometimes. I know we've missed 1-move checkmates. I've seen that in actually some of our analysis. So that's so. Don't chat unless good game, good luck. Don't brag and don't lament your bad moves or losses. Play for fun, but play hard. Try to use your time wisely. Don't resign. That's a great point. I would say never resign, never give up. Keep playing hard. All right. Anything else? Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So great, Brandon. Great question. By the way, if you guys use lead chess, remember you could take any game, throw it into a study, invite that other lead chess player, and they can move the pieces with you. I'll be doing that tonight with my lesson at 5 o'clock, where we're going to go to a study, and he can move pieces and talk about it. I can move pieces. You could draw arrows, and you don't have to share your screen or anything. It's that you're both looking at the same study at the same time. So invite somebody to a study in lead chess and make them, give them the rights to contribute. Make them a contributor. So Brandon's looking for someone to work with him, and Flavio says yes. Awesome. All right. I hope you guys use lead chess. I like it. I like to support it. It has the mission of bringing chess to everyone for free. And Chris, yeah, sometimes you get no response because they're busy like getting ready for the next game. They had to go grab a cup of water. Some people don't know how to use chat. Some people don't chat ever. So yeah, don't feel bad if they don't say good game back. I know we want it. A lot of times we're going to think it's that they were rude, but it's probably just they were doing something else. And that's good, Brandon. Yeah, hello and have a good game is good. Yeah, good. Okay, you guys are sharing. I'll leave this up so you guys can share. And you definitely can connect on Discord. If you don't have a server, you can use mine if you like, Tiberian64. Totally up to you. All right, I'm going to take a quick peek and see if there's anybody that we want to raid. If I could... Well, I guess I'm not going to take as quick a peek as I thought since I don't have my phone handy. But again, let's test the computer. Let's test the computer. I would never try this with my other one. So let's test the computer and see if who we could find is online that we like.
Thank you.
Look
My
at
cackle.
that.
I like.
Pretty cool. This would not have worked on the other computer, so I already know we're doing better. And a star, I like. Oh, Saduk, we gotta rate Sudaka.
This voice analyzing. Nice.
By the way, you guys can challenge him. He likes. That's what he does. Most of his stream is he plays you guys. So you definitely, of course, can go and study together. But also, you can visit him and check him out and play him.
One blunder
He goes over the games. He likes to use the analysis tool and review. So feel free to do that.
Okay.
All right. I will see you guys later. Have a great day.
Breaking on that